Today I'm going to do some hiking around Canmore to explore an old Cold War bunker. You know, we often think being here so far removed from the big fears of nuclear war in the 1950s and 60s, the concerns still were very, very real. And that's why Rocky Mountain Lock and Vault Company decided to build a bunker in the side of Mount McGillivray in order to securely store all kinds of documents. It was a very, very serious idea at the time, but in the end, it all came to naught and was eventually abandoned before it was ever used. But they did drill or blast a large tunnel into the mountain, so we're going to go explore that now and take a look into this old piece of Cold War history. So when you get to the parking lot, most of the cars will be parked on the left-hand side. That's where the main Hart Creek and Hart Mountain trails both start from this day use area. But what you want to do is park on the right-hand side of the lot, and from there the trail heads out and begins to wander paralleling the highway. It's a beautiful place. You'll see beside me a marker for the Trans-Canada Trail. Parts of this trail follow that national trail system that goes from coast to coast across Canada, including legs that travel far up into the Northwest Territories as well. So it's an epic trail system, and this is just one component of that. And now we're getting to our first junction in the trail. We're going to hit two junctions on our way up to the old bunker. At each one, we're going to veer to the left. So take a left at two junctions along this trail. Shortly after that first left turn, you really start to get some nice views up towards the face of Mount McGillivray, which hosts the bunker. Some spectacular views from this trail across towards Lac des Arcs and the surrounding peaks. You can really see that just to the east of Lac des Arcs really is where you enter the Canadian Rockies proper if you're driving out from Calgary towards the mountain front. So we really are in the frontest of the Front Ranges here. So this really is a trail for all seasons. It's a big, wide open trail, easy for the whole family. This year we've had very little snow in much of the eastern slopes of the Rockies, except at high elevation. And so right now, this trail is almost devoid of snow. But were it heavily laden with a proper winter snowpack, you could easily snowshoe this trail as well. So it's a great trail for all seasons, and it's one of the ones that you can bring your friends out and they won't have heard of it before. So you can have that little bit of secret inside knowledge. This is incredible. It's massive. When you get a short distance in, there's a fork. So you can either continue straight on, or you can go to the left, and then there's an area which looks like it's been the local Canmore party spot, fire pit inside one of the larger rooms. So I'm going to continue on the main corridor, and let's just take a look at this entire place. looks like the main corridor eventually ends at a graffiti-covered wall. So we'll go in and check some of the side corridors now. Here you can look back towards the main entrance of the cave, and in a few minutes I'll pull out the camera and do some light painting to really try and capture the cave at its best. Hello. It's particularly eerie to have it all to yourself. But you can imagine this with proper floors and concrete, and it would have had ventilation, it would have had air conditioning and air humidity protection. The idea for this was it would store documents for the long haul, whether it was protecting them from water or protecting them from a nuclear attack. It was all the same. This was designed to be in the inside of a mountain, untouchable to the Cold War. Unfortunately, problems like seeping water doomed the project before it was ever completed. But boy, what an incredible place to explore. I want to talk a little bit about this cave and how you go about photographing it, because inside here, it is pitch black. It's a real challenge as a photographer. So what I brought was a nice LED video light that allowed me to paint the cave with light. So the secret is to set up your camera on a tripod. It's pitch black, so it's hard to focus. So set up the light on the rock that you want to focus on, go to the camera, use that to get your focal point. And then once you've got that composition ready, what you want to do is set the camera on manual or on a 30-second exposure. And then as the shutter opens, you walk through the cave and do this. Simply paint the rocks with light. And what you find out is that the exposure continues to record as you walk through the cave, and that light slowly gathers onto the sensor. Now, sometimes you'll find that your body, because you've got to use your body to block the light, your body can leave a shadow in the image in the center. So what I decided to do, or what I found worked better, was to photograph the scene in sections. So for one exposure, I would light this side of the cave. For another exposure, I would light this side. And now when I go home and I bring them into Photoshop, I can combine those exposures because nothing moved. The camera was solid on a tripod. The only thing that changed was what portions of the cave received light in each exposure. And by combining several images, I can get an awesome image that really reflects just how unique this old 1969 bunker really is. As a hike, this is awesome. As a photographic experiment, it's a blast. So I do recommend, if you come up here, bring a good light. You're going to want that regardless, because it is absolutely pitch black inside. I did see a bushy-tailed wood rat, also known as a pack rat, so don't leave anything unattended. I had an experience at Rat's Nest Caves where I went in the winter, and so I left some of my warm gear out the front of the entrance of the cave, and by the time I got out, my nice woolen mittens had been completely incorporated into a bushy-tailed wood rat's nest. It was a great day for the wood rat, a bad day for me because I had to hike home without any gloves. But come on up here and marvel at the history when you're here. That's the nice thing about this. It's a great hike, it's a great photographic experiment, but it's a great piece of Canadian history, and it connects us to the Cold War. And thankfully, bunkers like this one were never needed. If you do come up, drop me a line or tag me in your photographs, because I'd love to see what you're doing with a scene like this. Every photographer that comes up is going to have a different eye, a different way of looking at it, and I'd love to see what you've managed to accomplish, and maybe I can learn something as well. Well, after a few hours exploring the cave, it's time to head home. What a beautiful day to be playing in the mountains, and what a beautiful piece of history. And the light is beautiful on the valley now as I start to make my way back towards the car.